Nice.
Is there anything in the distant future that might bring that show back to be talked about, or is it kind of like buried 6 feet under?
Well, we don't know. I'm still really good friends with the guys who created that show. And we talk about it whenever we get together. And they're still trying to get that up and going again. They're all still working in animation. Two of them are at Titmouse, or actually all three of them are at Titmouse, the main guys who created that show. There's a company called Titmouse that makes Metalocalypse and several of these other really great shows. And they just can't get it funded, I think that's the problem. And Cartoon Network didn't really know how to market it. It was kind of its own thing. It was really a love letter to the anime community. And we thought it was going to be a big hit. We really put a lot of love into that show. So I would love to see it get off the ground again, and I know that he has been trying diligently to do it, especially Jody Schaefer, the lead artist on the show.
Yeah, I read a lot of forums about it. I just couldn't believe when it got canceled.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, is there an episode coming out next week? And it's like, no, we're just going to leave it at this random part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well, that's the way it works when you're working with networks. You never know. There was a big changeover going on at Cartoon Network at the time, too, so that has something to do with it.
And what would be your favorite Jamie line?
Chicks dig giant robots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Megan's sexual arts, where is that this overweight guy who turns his car into a robot?
I can see that. Look dangerous.
Could be. I'm pretty good with a pitchfork. I'm a farmer by trade. I have 9 horses at home.
Wow. I hope you don't use the pitchfork on them.
Just myself on occasion.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's for a different kind of panel.
I've stabbed myself in the foot, tripped over it, whacked myself on the head.
Fantastic.
Anyhow, I have tried 3 times this weekend to get this signed and keep getting the cut off.
Oh, I can't do it up here, but maybe right after. I'll do it for you really quick.
That would be great.
Okay.
I already have Richard Epcard, Lex Lang, Stephen Prince, and Ellen Epcard as well.
I'm sorry you had to deal with those people. They're difficult.
I know. But Stephen was also a villain, so that works.
He's a good guy. Good guy. Okay, just catch me right after, and I'll do it for you.
Yeah, but I do have an actual question beyond.
Yes, good. We're not encouraging this.
Yeah, do you enjoy being the villains? Because it seems like that's your biggest draw.
Yes, it's good to be bad. No, it's really fun. I love both sides of it, though. Depending on the day, some days I want to be good, and some days I don't. So it just depends on the day. But yeah, being a villain is always really fun. You get to do things you could never do in life, like stab people with pitchforks.
I do that on almost a daily basis on my own, but.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Hello again. As an avid Blizzard fan, as you know, they StarCraft 2. As the voice of Advocate, when they brought him over to Heroes of the Storm, did they bring you back as a voice actor for him again?
Cannot confirm or deny.
Fair enough. Also, what's the laughing man been up to lately?
Laughing. Just quietly laughing.
He's not like destroying the internet somewhere or anything like that?
Yeah, he's the troll. He's the troll guy. He just contorted his face.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hi.
So from an actor standpoint, I know that there are certain characters that are a little hard to get behind. I mean, if you're a master voice actor, you can do a lot of voices, but I know there's always that one that is a little bit harder to get to. What are some of the techniques that you do to kind of get a little more flexible with it? And so, I mean, as an actor standpoint, me personally, I'm not comfortable doing kind of like nervous niche. So from your standpoint, what do you do?
Well, as far as emotional reactions for actors, for characters, that part doesn't trip me up. What really makes me have to go to the table and work are dialects more than anything else. Just because I've been doing it for so long, I'm able to grab emotions that I've dealt with in my real life. I've lived a long time. I'm an old guy, so that part of it's easy for me now. It's very organic. But if I have to do specific dialects sometimes that I'm not familiar with, and I know that going into the studio, I'll have to do a lot of research the night before. Or technical jargon, sometimes fast-speaking roles, available for limited time only, participating dealer, terms, conditions, and restrictions apply, that sort of thing. If I have to do that super fast the next day, I want that dialogue the night before so that I can run through it and just loosen up my lips. But other than that, the acting process for me is very organic, and I'm not a classically trained actor either, so I don't use a lot of the methods that typically classically trained actors learn.
Yeah.
I'm not, and just for me, I'm not bound by that. I just sort of dive in and do it, and it's either good or it's not good. I get cast or I don't get cast. But once I'm in the studio and I get cast, I know that I'm up for the role, and I'm gonna do my best at it.
One quick question is, how do you get your name more out there? I do like 70 auditions a day, and it's like, everyone says you don't lose hope. Like Mark Hamill said that, did a ton before he got Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, you have to be patient.
Yeah.
And I did it for over 10 years, almost 12 years, before I really even considered doing it for a living.
Okay,
And I had 3 other jobs at the time. I did some terrible jobs so that I could support my voice acting habit. But the point is just to keep doing it. You just got to keep doing it, and a lot of it really does have to do with timing and placement where you are. So I'm in Los Angeles, and that is the voice acting mecca for animation and for video games. If you're in a place like this, it may not be the right market if you want to do animation. It might be good for commercials, it might be good for promo stuff, it might be good for radio. There's lots of different things you can do in voice acting. But if you specifically want to do animation and video games, you kind of have to be where the work is.
Right.
And then just show up on time for auditions and do a good job when you do get hired. Be very responsible, and eventually you'll get in front of the right person. It took me, I think, 12 years before I met Andrea Romano. She was like a bucket list voice director for me, and I could not get in front of her. And I finally got a little interview with her once, and she just didn't have the time to really go through and find out what I could really do. And it took just coming in on a session, doing a bit part on something she was directing at Warner Brothers, and she goes, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool. What else can you do?" And it was that simple. From that moment on, I've been working with her almost consistently. But that's how it happens, and you just have to be ready, and you have to be willing, and you have to just keep showing up over and over and be really patient.
Okay, thank you so much. That means a lot.
My pleasure. Hey, I know that guy.
Yes, sir. I was actually just about to ask you about him. How did you like your role as Mugen in Samurai Champloo?
I hated it. It was terrible. No, it was great. It was great. No, it was a great role. Obviously, it was really fun to do. The one thing that kind of freaked me out about that was that it came pretty quickly after Bebop for me, and I was a little concerned that the character was a little too close to Spike. But they wanted that. They actually wanted the same voice actor to be doing both roles, and they kept pitching me up a little bit. I was doing him a little bit more in my normal speaking voice, and they wanted him pitched up a little bit more to differentiate him from Spike. And that was a little difficult for me. And also, they wanted his emotions controlled a little more than I wanted to do originally. The Japanese client was there, and that was a little difficult for me to rein that in, because I thought of him as a broader character. And though his actions on screen were very broad, sometimes the performance had to be a little more nuanced. And so that was an interesting little mix. It was very technical for me. Working that show was very technical for me.
Yeah, you did a good job, though.
Thank
really
you.
Great show.
Thank you.
What is your favorite line by him?
I don't remember. I've never seen it. I've only seen maybe 7 episodes, and I recorded it so long ago.
Watch the whole thing. You did good.
I will, thank you. I remember talking about dumplings a lot and always being hungry.
And then, kind of a difficult question.
Yes.
What was your favorite character you ever voiced?
They're like children. How do you choose? There's so many. I mean, I can't choose favorites because they all, hold a special place in my heart. There's certain breakout ones, of course, like Spike, Wolverine, now Zeb from Star Wars because I'm a Star Wars fan. Guillemon, Tom from Toonami. I mean, these guys were big benchmark characters in my career. But I had just as much fun playing some of the smaller roles. I mean, I get called to do bit parts even without a name sometimes. I'm Stormtrooper number 3 all the time, and like all the Star Wars games and in this new show in Star Wars Rebels, I play a lot of Stormtroopers. Sometimes I'm not even credited, but I love playing them because it just makes me happy inside.
There you go. Thank you, sir. You keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve. We met earlier.
Yes, we did.
So my first question is, I have a question and a statement. My first question is, I appreciate the way that you interact with your fans because you're very genuine, you're very honest, you're very polite. So my question for you is, what is the most poignant moment maybe that you've had with a fan ever this year, or something that kind of just really touched you in a way that says, I just really love what I do, and I love the fact that my fans love what I do.
Well, here's where it gets trippy, because I've had so many of these in the last couple of years. I've had 3 people come up to me in the last 3 months, who told me that watching one of my shows or playing one of my games stopped them from committing suicide. That touches me in a place that I never thought I'd be touched in my life. That kind of thing has changed me on a cellular level and has given me purpose for doing this. And for so many years doing this work, with my original intention to be a doctor or something that I felt of great value, I didn't feel like I was doing anything to contribute to society. We're in a rubber room, we don't see what's going on out in the world. But what really changed it for me was several years ago, and I tell this story a lot, so if you've heard it before, forgive me. I was in New Zealand at a convention. Have you heard the story?
Yeah, I have.
You want me to tell it to everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you guys all heard the story? Okay. Well, I was in New Zealand, and I was at a signing table, and this guy comes up to me, and he looked like a Samoan guy, huge man with tattoos, pretty intimidating looking. And he came up and he told me that he had an autistic little boy. He was, I think, 8 years old at the time, and he was nonverbal. He would sit in the corner and he would rock, and he'd just sort of be there in his corner. And he'd have certain things that he could do, but that was it. He was nonverbal. He couldn't speak. He would grunt. His family recognized what he needed by certain body movements, but there was really no dialogue at all. And one day, Digimon came on. And all of a sudden, the little boy gets up from the corner and he runs over to the couch. And he sits there and he's transfixed on the TV set. And he's watching, and the father sits down next to him and he sees this reaction. He'd never seen this kind of reaction in him before. And he said, "What's going on?" And the little boy looks over at him and goes, "Shh." And that was the first real interaction that he'd ever had with him. He goes, "Okay." And he leaves the little boy alone until the commercial. And the little boy looks over at him at the commercial and goes, "I like this, Daddy," in perfect English. And he's been formulating all these words in his head all these years, and the father had no idea. And the father said that this unlocked something in the little boy's brain, this connection with his character for some reason unlocked something in this little boy's brain that unleashed a flood of emotion. The little boy started talking. Every day he started talking more and more and more with the family. The family all sat down with him and they would watch Digimon religiously together. And now, when I met him, he was 12 years old. And the father brought the little boy the next day with his sister and the wife. And I see them, about 20 people back in my signing line, and I got up and I ran back there, and me and the family just stood there hugging and crying because it shifted me. It shifted something in me, in my life, in their life. And this boy is highly functional now and has friends. They got him on the internet, and he realized that there were other like-minded people. He could have discussions about things that he loved. You know, he obsesses about certain things, but don't we all? And he's one of us. This little boy is one of us, and whatever this connection was, it gave me a sense that I was doing something of value, and I've never cried that hard in my life. And even talking about it now, I could break down. But I have these kinds of moments at every convention, and that's one of the things that drives me to come to these conventions, to hear your stories and to hear how, you know, something that you guys connected with might have gotten you through a hard time, or a person in your family dying, or an illness that you had to go through, or just depression, you know, waking in from the depression and helping you get through that.
Well, then I want to share with you that my mother died back in April, and I grew up with you. I grew up listening to Tom's voice. And the night that she passed away, I remember watching her from the top, and I said, "This is home for me." So I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you have given us, your time, your love, your dedication. Not just for me, but for everybody here. It means the world to us, to me.
Thank you. I'm sorry that your mom would be so proud of you. That's a difficult thing to share that kind of thing with a lot of people. And it takes a lot of courage to do that, so thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's what makes this worthwhile for me, and I think for a lot of people here.
Thank you.
So thank you. Oh, I'm a blubbering mess. How did this get so serious? So's my honey.
Hi, Steve.
Okay, so that happened.
I'll just give everyone a minute to calm down.
Very good. Take a deep breath. It's not even Sunday. How did this happen?
We met last night. I was at the Spiked Eagle at your VIP autograph.
Yes, and awesome, by the way.
Thank you. I wanted to know how much has playing Spike influenced your work, even up to today?
It was one of the biggest benchmarks in my life. When I played Spike, I was about 40 years old, and that's when I went into voiceover full time. Everything changed for me that year. I was going through a divorce. This is so heavy. I was going through a divorce at the time, and this was a big breakout role. I didn't know it at the time. I was just doing another role, and I thought it was really cool and awesome. It looked beautiful, but I had no idea. And everything I had done to that point was fun and awesome, but I didn't see it as a career possibility. I didn't really know the impact that Spike and Bebop had on this community until several years later when I really started hitting the convention circuit and I started hearing the stories. But it affected me so deeply that one of my very first tattoos was this, which is Spike's voice. This is Bang. And that's taken directly from the video, and I put it into my computer in my audio file, and that's a direct snapshot of it. So it led to Megas XLR, it led to Tom, which of course led to so many other things. And 15 years later, we're still talking about this show, so it had a gigantic impact on my life.
Well, thank you so much for all that you do, Spike. It's one of my personal favorite characters.
Thank you.
Could you do Bang? Yes.
Bang. This is the Fields panel.
It's kind of a weird question. Like, I recently started paying attention to commercials and the voice acting in those, and I think I copied one of them.
Yes.
Yes.
What did you see? Was it one of the Prime Man ones, the stick figure guy on Cartoon Network? Have you guys seen those?
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I've been like starting to get a little irritated because I've been trying to catch them now, like at the end, and there's like not really credits for them.
No.
Yeah.
No, I know.
And that's starting to irritate.
Oh.
Because I don't have voice actors that have credit.
Well, we don't care. For commercials, it's that's really. I hate to say it, but that's for the money. The commercials are really for the money most of the time. It's not like all the other stuff that I do where I really, really invest myself. Of course, I do try to do the best job that I can, but we don't really care about the credits for that. It really is to promote the product. It's about the product at the time.
Well, despite that, do you have a particular favorite commercial that you remember at all?
Well, one company that's been very, very good to me is Oh Thank Heaven. You know that? You guys have 7-Elevens out here? Yeah. Yeah, I was the Oh Thank Heaven guy for many, many years for that. Yeah. So they've been very, very good to me. And Fountain Tires also in Canada. If anybody has heard of Fountain Tire things from Canada, I do a lot of their announcing too.
Would you like to do a commercial as one of the characters?
Sure. Yes. Well, there's these commercials on Cartoon Network. I'm not sure if they're showing them here, but there's a character that they created that they call Prime Man. He's basically a stick figure I've done Taco Bell and tons of different kinds of commercials, Pizza Hut, all these different commercials has this character, and he's basically doing a journal entry log, and it's very similar to Tom's voice. So that's the closest I've come to doing that. It's fun though.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi.
Hello. So I have one main thing, one little small thing. I was wondering, for another dub, how did it feel going from, in the grand scheme of things, small villain Zabuza to big villain Orochimaru?
Well, I don't look at it in terms of how big or small the character is. I look at it in terms of investing as much of myself as I can in the character. To me, Zabuza was just as important a figure as Orochimaru. And especially because I don't watch the shows. I've seen maybe 5 episodes of Naruto in all these years, which is terrible, I know. Bad voice acting. But, my experience of Zabuza was very intense in the studio, especially his relationship with Haku. So to me, that's just as big and important a character as Orochimaru. And now I'm playing Tsuchikage and Ao and some of these other characters. And each one of them holds a different place in my mind and in my heart. So I don't see any differentiation in their stature.
Gotcha. Thank you. And the last thing I'd like to ask is, could you say something as you please?
Yes, what would you like me to say? What's your name?
My name's Anthony.
Anthony Mine. Got bread?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anthony Digivolve to Anthony Mine.
Hi, Steve. I'm a super big fan of your middle of all your work. I was wondering if you could say something for two people that could not make it today. The first is my friend Jack, and she's a huge fan of Mugen, so could you say hi to her in Mugen's voice?
Her name is?
Jack.
Jack?
Yeah.
Jack. Jack, got dumplings? I'm starving.
And the next person is my boyfriend Scott, and he loves shishio, so could you say something on shishio?
Scott? Oh, it's hot! It's hot! I remember from Chichia.
Thank you so much. I figured that you wouldn't remember much from Kenshin.
I just remember screaming.
Do you have, I guess this could go for both characters, do you have any anecdotes or any favorite memories at all from working on either Samurai Champloo or Rurouni Kenshin?
We talked about Samurai Champloo a little bit, but
yeah.
Rurouni Kenshin, really I don't remember anything about that except how cool the character looked and how painful it was to voice.
I think I watched, I'm sorry to interrupt you, on the bloopers you said something like, shut up you pathetic worthless weenies. It's just funny.
Oh, I said that?
Yes, the bloopers on Kenshin are fantastic. If you haven't, you should rewatch them for some memories. They're really great.
I'm probably known more for my terrible bloopers than I am for the actual work.
I love watching your bloopers. Not that I don't like watching your professional content, because are really
I didn't see that. I'm going to have to watch.
Yes, please do.
Okay, I will. Then I don't have to commit to the whole show. I can just watch that.
No, if you're just going to watch the show, just go for the bloopers, because they're hilarious.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
First, I want to thank you for sharing that story. I have a little brother who is non-verbal autistic and used to the world. That sounds familiar. First, I grew up watching Tsunami, and Tom gave a lot of inspirational speeches. Do you have one that was your favorite?
I love them all. Oh shoot, I forgot to do it. I was going to do the bully one. Does anybody have the bully speech with them? No? Yeah, well, if anybody can look it up and then hand it to me, I can do that one. But I have Fall Down 7 times. I did that yesterday. But were all you guys at the panel yesterday? No? Would you like to hear that one?
Yeah.
Fall Down 7 times? I have that one with me. Okay. That's always a crowd favorite. Why not? All right. So here's the deal. Life doesn't always want to be your friend. Sometimes it'll feel like life wants to hurt you. But you can't just hide, because nobody likes a quitter. You gotta take chances. They never said it was gonna be fun or easy. Whether it's when you're totally ready or when you least expect it. Doesn't matter. Life will punch you right in the face.